John Muir may have said it best when trying to describe Yosemite Valley when he said, "It is easier to feel than to realize or in any way explain Yosemite grandeur." I've had the privilege growing up to travel all over the U.S. with my dad when he was a trucker. And we went to the East Coast, we went to the West Coast, down south and back up again. I even had the chance one time of flying to Japan and taking the bullet train from the southern tip to the northern tip. And in all those travels, I never once saw anything as beautiful as Yosemite. A little over a year and a half ago, my wife and I decided that we'd go there for our honeymoon. And in the day that I got to spend there, I realized right away that everyone should go there at least once in their lives. And I hope after today you'll feel the same way. So today I'll tell you about our first impressions entering into the state park, the intense climb to the precipice and the beautiful view that came with it, and the awe-inspiring moment that I had at Yosemite Valley. So when we first went into Yosemite State Park, we came in from the west entrance, and we had our first look at this national state park that is just under 750,000 acres. 750,000 acres. It was huge. And when we first got in there, we decided we'd stop at this little convenience store. We got some food because it would be the last place that we'd see for a little while. And we started to leave, and we stopped because behind the convenience store there was a bunch of people out in the woods around these buildings, and we thought we'd take a look at it too. Well, it turned out that this site was the original site for a trading post that used to be there called Savage Trading Post, and that's what those buildings were that were back there. It was a little circle of stone buildings surrounded by these redwoods, and the redwoods were amazing to see. Even I'd never seen trees like this. They were huge, and getting to see this history that it was so well preserved is really great to see. So now that you've heard a little bit of the history at the entrance of Yosemite Valley, let's talk about the intense climb to the precipice and the beautiful view that came with it. And let me start this off also by saying that I have an intense fear of heights, vertigo and everything. Might not have been the best idea for our honeymoon. But as we began our climb, and I had the cliff face going up along our right side, disappearing out of view, and treetops off to our left side with a valley floor that was starting to disappear below us, that fear began to kick in, but I couldn't stop going forward because the higher we got, the more amazing the view became. And there was no way that I was going to turn back, and I conquered my fear and kept going. And as we got to the top, we got to Glacial Point. It's 7,200 feet above sea level. And we got out of the car. We were on a cliff face overlooking another valley, and there's a sheer cliff wall off to the one side, waterfall going down it. Then off to the left there's some more valley floor with mountains off in the distance. But directly in front of you was this 5,000 foot granite piece of rock that was in the shape of a dome, but it was cut in half, and it was amazing to see. It's called the Half Dome, aptly named. It was incredible though. The view itself was outstanding, and I really hope that someday you'll get to see it too. So now that we've talked a little bit about the intense climb and the beautiful view that came from it, let's talk about the awe-inspiring moment that I had in Yosemite Valley. So after we left Glacial Point, we began to make our descent down into Yosemite Valley, and that first meant going through Wawona Tunnel, which is a little under a mile long. And as my eyes finally began to adjust to the darkness, of course, it opened up and I was blinded by the light on the other side. And it was a good thing there was nobody behind us, because as soon as I could see again, I slammed on the brakes and pulled over. Because I had never seen anything like this before. It's absolutely surreal to know that you're up in the mountains and you're looking at a valley floor that is in the mountains, still surrounded by mountains. It was crazy, because Yosemite Valley is 4,000 feet above sea level. So we made the rest of our descent down. Then we pulled over at this little bridge going over this river. We walked over the bridge and we sat down, and we were in this grassy field with trees all around us. And on either side of us were these two cliff faces just going straight up, a couple thousand feet above us. And it was absolutely humbling and very awe-inspiring. Awesome is a word that is used far too frequently nowadays. And it's the best way to describe what it was like to be there. And I really hope that someday you'll get to experience that yourself. So now that we've talked about our first impressions entering into the state park, the intense climb to the precipice and the beautiful view that came with it, and the awe-inspiring moment that I had at Yosemite Valley. I hope you'll understand a little bit more why I feel everyone should go there at least once. The rich history alone is a good reason to go to see Yosemite, but the superb views are something that you will not find anywhere else. So I hope you'll go someday. I know myself I will. Because also, as John Muir once said, the mountains are calling, and I must go. Thank you.